What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, CamATL, and welcome back to another NFL DFS video with your boy. Drop a like down below because I already know you're going to love it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment anything in the comment section and enter your name into the $50 giveaway that I do every single week on this channel, baby. As you guys know, normally early on in the week we do the first look lineup. I haven't been able to do the first look lineup as of the last couple weeks just because I've been so busy. I'm happy to get this final look video out that though for week 9. Super excited about it. Excited to have another solid week. We missed on the main slate last week at Greenlight DFS just barely because of some bad luck, but before that we swept every other thing that we had going on for the last 2 weeks. So it's been fantastic. It's been a solid NFL season already and excited to keep it going, baby. So greenlightdfs.com to join the squad for week 9. See what we're rocking for our optimals for college football tomorrow and then for NFL week 9. So as you guys know, in a full slate breakdown, I go position by position talking about everybody that I have some interest in this week, and I'm going to send y'all on your way. All right, I'm going to try not to make the video too crazy long. I don't like making videos that are like decades long. I'm just going to kind of touch on guys, give some reasonings why, some correlation, answers, and send y'all on your way, let y'all do your own thing. All right, so excited for a big W this week. Let's get it. So starting off at quarterback, one guy that I have a lot of interest in, it has a lot to do with correlation and matchup here. Like Dak Prescott, I'm just going to put him in here for now. Dak Prescott really sticks out to me this week. He's in a play from behind spot. Yes, Philly can be a tough defense, but this is a Philly defense that just gave up 35 to Sam Howell. Okay, if they give up 35 to Sam Howell, I have no fears at all playing Dak Prescott. On top of that, Prescott's got some good weapons, man. Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, Ferguson. He's got some options to target in that pass game. Tony Pollard even, Michael Gallup. All these guys are solid options, all right? And in this matchup against Philly, they're actually underdogs. We haven't seen that this year for Dallas. They're actually underdogs, which in turn will make them throw heavy. So not only is the script pass-friendly for Dallas, the matchups against a Philly team that just gave up 35 to Sam Howell. He's 6'5", and you have great correlation with CeeDee Lamb. You have great correlation with Brooke. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name. What is his name? I just literally mentioned his name. Brandon Cooks. So Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, all solid pairings. Mainly CeeDee Lamb. If you can go Dak and CeeDee Lamb, that would be the best options this week for sure. With that being said, next quarterback that I have some interest in, Derek Carr's been super consistent. He really has been super consistent. There is a couple question marks with him, though. He's not as of a sure thing feeling like you feel with Dak Prescott. You feel pretty safe with Dak Prescott this week. With Derek Carr, it's not exactly safe, but over the last 3 weeks, he's been incredibly consistent. He's gotten over 20 Draftkings points over the last 3 weeks. A great matchup against Chicago. The only thing you worry about is the script is very favored for New Orleans to win this game. It could end up being very run friendly, and I do love Alvin Kamara. Now, don't worry too much about correlating Derek Carr with Alvin Kamara because honestly, they correlate fine. Alvin Kamara is pretty much a wide receiver 1 at the same time as being a running back, so pretty much going Carr and Alvin Kamara, you're ensuring that you get all of New Orleans points. Okay? Go with these options if you feel comfortable that New Orleans is going to score a good bit of points here. I think Derek Carr is a safe-ish option, but I could see a route where they end up running a good bit. But in my opinion, you can do way worse than Derek Carr. He's fine to me, honestly. He's one of the guys that I have looked over a few times. He's not at the very top of my list, but he's an option. Another guy that's interesting to me this week is going to be Mac Jones against Washington. Mac Jones, once again, has that solid correlation situation. All right, you can pair him up with Demario Douglas, who's only 4K this week. Fantastic correlation there with them. Another reason also with the New Orleans play is Shaheed is a guy who's 4.5. He's cheap that you can correlate with Carr. Chris Olave, obviously, you can pair with Carr, so you've got some options that you can correlate with him. But yeah, Mac Jones, I feel like, again, you can do worse than Mac Jones this week. You know what I mean? I mean, they're projected over 22 points. He's got 19 and 20. He's had that 28 week 1 against Philly. All right, he had 28 DraftKings points week 1 against Philly. Last year he did it once against Minnesota where he got 26. It's possible. You know what I'm saying? Against Washington in this matchup, it is a fantastic one. I mean, they've given up like over 20 DraftKings points to every quarterback they've faced this year. And Mac Jones is only 4-9, and he pairs up with a cheap receiver this week at Douglas. So I like the spot for them. Normally, I stack up New England when they're expected to be solid underdogs and we're expecting a big pass-heavy script. Like, I've played a lot of New England receiver over the last couple weeks against the Dolphins and stuff like that. So in this game, they're expected to be favorites. But still, Mac Jones at 4-9 is definitely a solid option. All right. Another guy I have some interest in that's interesting to me this week, C.J. Stroud. Mainly because I like the pairing of Nico Collins and him. I really like the pairing of Nico Collins and C.J. Stroud. These guys have been fantastic together this year, and I think that's definitely a correlation that you can rock with. Other than that, we have Gardner Minshew. We talked about Sam Howell, about how Sam Howell rocked Philly last week. He's in a solid situation once again, playing from behind. So interesting. Team totals pretty damn low, though. There's obviously other options that I'd prefer, but again, you can go many options. Jalen Hurts, obviously. This is expected to be a close game here. We know what Hurts can do with his feet. You can run Hurts solo. You don't have to pair him. Okay? Because of what he can do with his feet, you don't have to pair him with anyone. So Jalen Hurts running solo, if you have the money at 8K, perfectly fine. He's probably my favorite quarterback on the entire slate. Lamar Jackson obviously is always going to be an option as well. But I prefer Jalen Hurts in the close game with what he can do with his feet. Yes, it's a tough matchup, but Dallas' defense is solid. But, it's supposed to be a close game. He's at home in Philly. I feel like when you talk about safety this week, he's definitely number one. All right? Number one for sure. Another guy, Bryce Young, is only 5-1. Bryce Young's only 5-1. You can pair him up with Adam Thielen at 5-1 against the Colts. So looking at the options this week, obviously Jalen Hurts would be at the very top of guys that I would like. Dak Prescott in that same game. Derek Carr, that's a high New Orleans total. Okay? That's a solid New Orleans total this week. And you got the pairing of Shaheed, Olave. You've got Alvin Kamara that you're going to want from that offense. So I understand if you decide to fade Derek Carr because you love Kamara so much and you don't want to pair Carr with the running back. But remember, Alvin Kamara is pretty much a wide receiver one. Okay? He's super heavily targeted in the past game. So I wouldn't be surprised if I saw a Derek Carr to Alvin Kamara passing touchdown. You know what I mean? In the matchup against Chicago, not only can Kamara be a part of getting up, Derek Carr to Kamara, but then once they're up, a lot of Kamara then as well. So I really love Kamara, though. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and move to running back. So Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Mac Jones as a value option, Derek Carr as a value option, and then that's about it. That's mainly my core of guys that I have interest in at quarterback. At running back, really, don't overthink it. Alvin Kamara in this matchup in a big favored spot for New Orleans. Solid ass team total. One of the higher team totals of the entire slate. Alvin Kamara's in a fantastic spot against Chicago. They give up a ton versus the run. It's 8-1. He's going to do anything he wants. He's 8-1, so you're having to spend some money, but he's going to do whatever he wants. And remember, he's a wide receiver 1/RB1. That's why his price is like that. He scores a good amount of DK points because of the Draftkings scoring system, full point PPR. He's had 29 and 27 the last 2 weeks. Yeah, fantastic. Like I said, that's another thing. Like, Derek Carr's gotten over 20 in the last 3 games. Okay, each of the last 3 games. And Alvin Kamara also has gotten 29 and 27. That's what I mean by them correlating. They don't kill each other. Okay, Alvin Kamara got 14 targets, 12 catches for 91 yards in week 7. That's also a week Derek Carr went over 20 DraftKings points. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they correlate fine. All right. Next up, Saquon Barkley. I have some interest in Saquon Barkley, man. He's just so much usage in this Giants offense. He is a guy that they're going to have to run into the ground. He's had 24 carries, 21 carries, and then 36 carries last week. So expect to see a ton of touches for him, and just off straight opportunity, he's a fantastic option this week. When we talk value-ish options, like much cheaper than those top guys we just talked about, but also could end up in that same scoring range, Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs. Both of these guys are great. Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, both in fantastic positions. Josh Jacobs and Jonathan Taylor both favored in their games. It should be run-heavy scripts for both. Both are high-usage guys. and they're in that 6K, mid 6K, high 6K range. They're both fantastic options. When it comes to running back this week, we have a lot of choices. Now let's talk value. Chuba Hubbard against the Colts is one guy that I want to talk about at 5K. Hubbard is a guy who's going to get solid ass usage. He's expected to start week 9 against the Colts here. And at 5K for a guy starting, it's just fantastic spot. You can go either, also on top of that, you can go either Cleveland. You can consider both of the Cleveland guys. You can consider Kareem Hunt. You can consider Jerome Ford. Either one of those guys are fine. And that pretty much rounds out my running backs. I mean, I'm wanting to spend up, to be honest with you. I'm wanting to get spend up options if I can. All right, looking at running backs, our number one options are going to be Alvin Kamara at the top, then Saquon Barkley. Then I love Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Chuba Hubbard, those Cleveland running backs that we have available to us. Those guys are the core of running backs this week, and those are the guys I'm mostly trying to lean towards. For wide receiver this week, it kind of, as always, depends on what you're going at quarterback. If you're going Dak Prescott, let me go ahead and take him out now. If you're going Dak Prescott, then CeeDee Lamb's going to make a ton of sense for you. If you're going Derek Carr, then Chris Olave is going to make a ton of sense. Shaheed is going to make a ton of sense. Nico Collins. I talked about Nico Collins. Love having him. He's a guy who is a high target guy at 5'8". So I really like Nico Collins a lot. Adam Thielen is another guy that you can play this week because he is a high targeted guy and they're expected to play from behind. Pass heavy game script. So fantastic spot there. When we talk about value guys, Demario Douglas at 4K. Very good value option. Pairing him with Mac Jones gets you a very cheap stack to get anything else you want. I mean, there's probably no question you're getting Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, maybe even Jonathan Taylor, somebody like that, as well as getting Mac Jones paired up with Demario Douglas pretty easily. You know what I mean? Probably another stud receiver in there as well. So definitely a solid spot there for Demario Douglas. If you're wanting to pair Hurts up, like a GPP low owned stack that could absolutely break the slate would be Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. I don't see a lot of people going that stack, but obviously that would be a very low owned, high upside stack that you could go with. We already have interest in Hurts, right? Because of his rushing ability, the floor he possesses, the upside he possesses more than anyone on the slate. So at the end of the day, when it comes to GPPs, you have major upside with Jalen Hurts. And him paired up with A.J. Brown is definitely an interesting spot that I don't know a lot of people will be doing. I think if they play Hurts, they might be running him solo. If they pair him up with A.J. Brown, obviously, that's a solid route, and I think that could be a low-owned route. I talked about Shaheed. Shaheed is in a fantastic spot once again. All right, he's in a good position. He had a huge week last week with 3 catches for 153 yards. He's a big play guy. Okay, he was their big play guy last week. Now, I wouldn't expect nothing near that this week, but he is an option in that range, and especially if you have Derek Carr, he's a solid correlation guy. Outside of that, obviously the Devontae Adams guys. Terry McLaurin is somebody who's interesting to me. I wouldn't be surprised if we know how Belichick likes to take number 1 guys out from the opposing team and make you beat them with the other guys. McLaurin might be the guy that they try to take out. But at 5'6", he's an option, especially for a high-targeted guy like McLaurin. Brandon Cooks at 4'4" is an option once again. Josh Downs been getting some work. Chris Olave, obviously, I talked about. So those are the main wide receivers I have interest in that I've mentioned. All right, when we move on to tight end. When it comes to tight end, once again, if you're playing Hurts, Goddard is my overall tight end of the week against Dallas. I think, honestly, I'm wanting pieces of that Dallas-Philly game because I just feel like it's going to be a competitive game. And in spots like this, in matchups like this is playoff type level football. And, I mean, this is spots that I like to get some exposure in. Now, part of me feels like I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being like a defensive battle on both ends. You know what I mean? Both defenses have shown glimpses that they can be very good. I would not be super shocked if I saw that. I would hate to see it because I really love Hurts and DFS. But, yeah, Goddard's a guy that I have interest in nonetheless. For Minnesota, TJ Hawkinson's another guy that I like. David Njoku sticks out to me at 3.8 as a cheapish tight end that you can play. Hunter Henry, Jake Ferguson in that game. Trey McBride's been getting a lot of work for Arizona, playing from behind big against Cleveland. Cleveland is a very solid defense, but they have been known to give it up to tight end at times. All right, so that's like an opening in their defense that you can take advantage of. And that's about it, man. I mean, you guys know me when it comes to tight end. I mean, I like either correlating or kind of spending down. When it comes to value, if we're looking at the optimizer and we take a look at where the value is, Trey McBride is the number one value option. We don't have anybody who's really like Michael Mayer, maybe. For Las Vegas, you can consider at 2.8. Outside of that, I mean, Trey McBride, David Njoku are two guys that are the main options. All right, when we look at defense, the Falcons' defense is really high up there because they're going to be facing a backup in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins out for the year, which is sad to hear. But it is what it is. The Falcons' defense is a solid option this week. They're one of the top projected options, as you can see. And they're 3.7, so you're having to spend for them. But, yeah, they're interesting. Patriots' defense is very interesting against Washington. As we know, Sam Howell can have days. He can have games where he does fantastic. But this Patriots' defense also has times where it's just amazing. You know what I mean? Like, they have their moments where they can really shine. They've done it over the years where they just shine and score good DFS points. This year, they haven't had the best of seasons. But at 2.9, they're definitely an option here. So, definitely option. And Washington's allowing a lot of sacks. So, Patriots could rack up those sacks as well. So, Patriots defense, Falcons defense, Texans you could consider, Colts you could consider, but the main options that I'm in, Giants maybe you can consider at 2.3 if you're just wanting the full-on punt. Like if we look at point per salary defenses, like if you're just wanting the punt defense, right? It's either the Patriots or the Giants. All right, they're both 3.1 point per salaries. I'd probably side with the Patriots. I don't know if you you have to necessarily punt that big for the Giants, but honestly, it's a decent spot, but I like to take the cheap defense at home. And the Patriots are at home against Washington at only 2.9. All right? So to recap what we're thinking this week and add in some other tidbits as we go. At quarterback, guys that I have the most interest in, at the top of the list, Jalen Hurts is very interesting to me. Lamar Jackson paired up with his boy Zay Flowers. I've been playing a lot of them over the last couple weeks. They got me a lot of money week 7, week 8, not so much. Week 9, probably not going to go back there. But for GPP upside, Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers is a stack that I don't think a lot of people are going, and they're really projecting out well because Lamar really has been taking off lately. Jalen Hurts doesn't do as much running, I guess, but in a close playoff type atmosphere here against Dallas, close game, I think Jalen Hurts has I have a lot of interest in him. Derek Carr has been absolutely balling. The only negative you can think of with Derek Carr would be you're probably locking in Alvin Kamara. He makes so much sense this week. And if you're locking in Alvin Kamara, I can understand you don't want to go the quarterback. But remember, don't let it stress you too much because Alvin Kamara is a wide receiver 1. Pretty much. All right. Outside of that, Jaren Hall, I mean, some interest, I guess, because he's only 4.8 and he's got some decent targets on the Minnesota team. So we'll see. But yeah, Jalen Hurts as my number 1, Dak Prescott, Derek Carr. And then when we look at point per salary and we're just trying to figure out who we would love to punt, Aiden O'Connell, Mac Jones, Jaren Hall, all maybes. I'm leaning mostly Mac Jones because I like the Giants defense and I like the Falcons defense. So Mac Jones is probably my number 1 value option this week. For running back, value, Chuba Hubbard is the number 1 guy at 5K. I mean, obviously, Devin Singletary at 4.3 is an option as well. He's popping really, really hard point per salary. But Chuba Hubbard is a guy I have a lot of interest in this week. Alvin Kamara is popping as probably, I'd imagine he's the top overall projected. Let me see. Yeah, Alvin Kamara by like 3 points is top projected. Saquon Barkley's next up. Josh Jacobs. Jonathan Taylor sticks out to me a lot. Bijan Robinson is definitely interesting. If you're going the Falcons defense, I like the correlation with running back to defense at times. I don't know how many of you have done that, but I do like that correlation. And this week, it's a correlation that makes sense. Probably not a lot of Tony Pollard. We do have him projected fine because he'll get involved in the pass and in the run, but I don't know. Jonathan Taylor, I've talked about. Devin Singletary, I talked about his value at 4.3. Chuba Hubbard, also an option. So those are my main guys for running back. When it comes to wide receiver, the overall top projected guy this week for us is Adam Thielen, just off the workload, playing from behind in every damn game. He's an amazing option all the time. Full point PPR scoring on Draftkings. Remember that. Wan'Dale Robinson, Demario Douglas, two of the best value options. Michael Thomas paired with Derek Carr is interesting. Juju Smith-Schuster is another target for Mac Jones. So it gives you Douglas and Juju Smith-Schuster. You know what I mean? In this situation where you're really getting an offense in a solid matchup against Washington for free, damn near. So you're pretty much able to get every stud wrapped around them. So love that. And when it comes to the spend up options, CeeDee Lamb, if you're playing Dak Prescott, I like CeeDee Lamb anyway. I like the pairing of Hurts with A.J. Brown. It's a sneaky one. I think that GPP stack is interesting. I'm not saying sneaky as in nobody thinks A.J. Brown and Hurts are good. I'm just not seeing a lot of people forcing that in the lineup constructions this week. I'm not feeling like they're going to do it. So because of that, it's a low on GPP, huge upside play. But you're having to pay for him at 8.6. CeeDee Lamb is 8.2. Pair him up with Dak Prescott. They're actually expected to play from behind, so that's good pass correlation. Michael Pittman Jr. is an option. And then I talked about the Nico Collins. And then once again, talking about the value, Wan'Dale Robinson, Demario Douglas, Michael Thomas, Juju, all solid options this week. Talking about tight end, the best value when it comes, you guys know me, I like to either get the best value option or spend up for the biggest stud. And if you're spending up for the stud, it would be TJ Hockenson this week. We don't have a ton of great options at tight end. You're either going TJ Hockenson, and he has a backup quarterback, or you're going Trey McBride at 3.7, who also doesn't have his normal quarterback. So yeah, this is a tough one. David Njoku's interesting because you do have Watson coming back. We'll see if Watson can get it going this week, but at least he has his quarterback. So we'll see. We'll see, man. But you can go any of those three guys right here. I have interest in all three of them: McBride, Njoku, and Hockenson. For defense, the best values. I mean, I'm leaning towards punt this week. I'm either Giants or Patriots. And then if you want to spend up, if you have the money and you just don't know where to spend it, and you absolutely can't spend it anywhere, then Falcons will probably be the overall best defense, and then the Browns at 4.2 are also an option. All right? Thank y'all for joining me as always. Sorry if the audio sounds weird or anything. I'm actually recording this in my closet without my normal headset because my girl is in the living room area making too much noise. I can't be in my office that's right there because it'll be too loud. They're having a girls' night thing, putting up Christmas ornaments and shit. So listening to Christmas music. All right. So I didn't want Mariah Carey and shit in the background while I'm sitting here trying to do this and girl giggling and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want all that shit in my DFS video. So I had to come into the closet and record this. So mind the audio. Next week it'll be clearer. If it's bad, I don't know. But anyway, hopefully I was able to get y'all that juice, get you on your way to getting some money this week. Thank y'all for joining me as always. And I'm out. Peace. Greenlightdfs.com. Go join up. Let's get it. I'm out. Peace.